Brian says, yeah, should macro elements be addressed separately from quote technique effect sentences? Brian, that's a good question. They should be integrated in together with it. And in the introduction, you should flag some of those key macro elements like dramatic form, soliloquies, and stuff like that. You could have those things separately in the introduction. You could potentially flag them in your topic sentences. If the question was about form or storytelling, it might be worth having one per topic sentence, having a key feature like that. But ultimately, Brian, with your sentences, you want to have them integrated into the same sentence. So that's why you have a sentence like facilitated by or reinforced by the visceral impact of the dramatic form. The metaphor does this. It's all part of the one sentence. So you just have this clause at the beginning. So you say something about form, then do a comma, and then go into your more micro technique. So it's the same sentence, ideally. You might have to split it over two sentences if it's a bit longer. Judah, would you ever be required to reflect upon two prescribed texts in Mod C? Maybe. I can't say never to that. Definitely never three, because teachers are only required to look at two. It's a minimum of two. So it is possible, but not likely. Not likely, but possible. You can play around with a question that says, like, using a character from one text, and a setting from another text, like, do this. But I think that's really unlikely. I would just focus more on the stylistic elements of one prescribed text for Module C. Yes, Gloria, the reflection statement is only for Module C. You may not even have to do a reflection if you get a 20-mark question, which has happened before, where you get 20 marks for the composition. Just remember that when you're interpreting a stimulus for the craft of writing, you don't want to just interpret things literally. You want to interpret things figuratively as well. Like if you got a setting of an ocean, you need to think about how maybe an idea is being drowned out of society. But it doesn't mean that your piece has to literally be set in the ocean. So you've got to use the concepts from the image or the quote in a figurative way as well to make your draft piece work. So you don't need to feel like you need to abandon your material because you get a set-in that seemingly doesn't work, because maybe you're just not interpreting the question the right way. If it's a setting, maybe it's a mental setting. That's what internalize means. So it's an internal setting. So the ocean represents, it's a metaphor for the characters or protagonists, right? Headspace. So up in their head, they feel like they're drowning in an ocean. They're overwhelmed with thoughts, right? You can kind of frame it that way, and that way it doesn't have to limit you and you can still use it. Externalize means if you get given a quote, maybe it's what someone else said. It's not what your character said, it's what someone else said, which allows you to maintain a lot more of your piece. So to make the stimulus something external, like if it's an image on a television screen that your character sees. Now it's not part of their setting, it's external to them. And that allows you to do a lot more with your original piece. For English Advanced, is it possible to get a Mod C where we have to continue and open into a piece? Yeah. You can get a Module C where you have to continue on from something else. But again, even if it says continue on, you've got your draft composition. So you're just thinking, how can I interpret that in a way that allows me to transition into what I really wanted to say? You might still have to change a lot of it and compromise and sacrifice pieces of your original. But at least if you can think creatively about different ways of interpreting what they gave you, that's going to open up the doors to using more of your original, which is going to be more polished and sophisticated because you've had time to draft that.